Okay, in this topic we'll be looking at working with reflection. So the reflection will be under the y equals 6. Okay, so let's start making the line here at y equals 6. So I'm going to put here first of all my line, which will be put. Again, these ones here are just values that I'm putting so I can get my line where I need it. So this is my line of reflection, y equals 6. Alright, so after this one here, let me plot 3 points here, which will be the triangle. So I do that. So my first point will be A, which is equals a point, say 2 and 1. B will be a point which will be 8 and 2. C will be a point which is given by 4 and 3. So those are my 3 points there which I have, and I'm going to be reflecting. Sorry about this, there's supposed to be a comma right there, and so we have those 3 points plotted. So I'm going to draw now. Let me push this C a little bit more up so I can get this here as to be a bit farther. Okay, so I'm going to join also the 3 points so they can form an image which will be a triangle. This line A and B, comma B. Sorry about that. That's comma, and I'm going to join B, small b, which is going to give me a line. That's a different sign, which is with B and C, and then I'm going to have the side C, which will be the line B and C. No, that's B and A. A and C, sorry about that. That's supposed to be A and C. So we have our shape there. Now I am to reflect this triangle here on this line. So when I reflect my triangle, it means that the points will be equidistant. Now because we are working with this program here, it does not allow us to put the prime, like for example A prime, B prime, and C prime. So for A is going to be say we can put it as to be D. For B will be E, and for C will be F, to represent the opposite part on this side. So when I reflect it, I got 2 lines, 1, 2. So my C here would be right here reflected. My A would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 units away from the line of reflection. So let me count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that is going to be right here, the point D. So point D is going to be 2 and 11. So let me write that down. D is equals the point 2 and 11. Okay, so you get there. That's D, and then E will be for B, which is 1, 2, 3. 4 points, 4 units away from the line of reflection. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that will be 8 and 10 for point E. 8 and 10. So let me put that here now. E is equal to point 8 and 10, and F is going to be 2 units away from the line to represent that of C. So let me write that down, and that is going to be 4 and 8. 4 and 8. So I have just reflected the points. Now I'm going to join those sides to represent this triangle, which is the image. Okay, so I get D to be the line F comma E, and then I have E to be the line D and F, and F to be the line D and E. So you have that triangle. So this triangle is the image of this one here. Okay, so let's see how this works. Now we have just reflected under this line, which is y equals 6, the line y equals 6. There's no way we can put this in here, so I'm going to leave that as it is. Now let's see how this works. If you notice, point A here is reflected with the letter D. So let me go to point A. Point A is 2 and 1. The line of reflection is 6. Okay, so since we are reflecting under the line y equals 6, what you will do, take that line value, which is 6, and multiply it by 2 and subtract the y value of the point that you are reflecting. Okay, so remember, point A is 2 and 1, so therefore point point D will be this point reflected under the line y equals 6. So we say 6 times 2, which is 12. Take away the y value of A, which is 1, will give us 11. So the point of reflection will be 2 and 11, which is there. We do the same thing with B, which is reflected with this point E. Point B is 8 and 2. So we multiply the y value here, which is 6, by 2, giving us 12. Take away this 2, give us 10. Likewise, we do with the point E. E is 4 and 4. So I'm going to say 6 times 2, which will give us 12. Take away 4, which will give us 8. So it will be 4 and 8. And that's how you reflect on a point which is y equals a number, a numerical value. So multiply the y value, or the line of reflection, by 2, then subtract the y value. That is how we reflect this one here. Okay, so that is reflection under the y equals a value. Now what about if we were to reflect this here under the x equals a value? So let's put it at x equals 11 if we can. So I'm going to take that now to be a line, and so I'm going to make my line equals, and that line is going to be 11 and negative 8 goes to 11 and 18, 11 and 18. And so we get that line is at 11 and 18. We get the line. Oops, sorry, I should have taken out the equal sign right there. And we get the line. So now I'm going to reflect under this line here, x equals 11. So remember, in the first one, we multiply the y value where the line of reflection is, and then subtract the y value. In this one here, since it's reflection under the x equals a value, we'll multiply this by 2 and subtract the x value, but we are not going to touch the y value. So let's start with A. So for right now, I'm going to be using different letters, and they will be G, H, I. So let me start with A to be reflected, and that will come way on this side. So point A was 2 and 1. Since it's being reflected under the line equals 11, I'm going to say 11 times 2, which gives me 22. Subtract the x value, which is 2, giving us 20. So that will be approximately somewhere around here. So the y value will not be touched, only the x value will be touched. So that is going to be G. So the point G now is going to be the point when I multiply 11 times 2, that's 22. Take away the x value, which is 2, giving us 20. So that's going to be 20 and 1. And that represents the A value. Now the B value should be 3 units away, which should fall right here. So the line of reflection is equals 11. So I'm going to say 11 times 2, which is 22. Take away the x value, which is 8, which will give me, so 22 times, no, 11 times 2 is just 22. Take away the x value, which is 8. We get how much? So remember, we will not touch the y value. It is only the x value. So when we do that, we take that image here, just 3 units right here, and that will be h. Let me write that down first. H is equals to the point, and when you reflect 3 units away, it's going to be 14 and 2. 14 and 2. So let's see how we get that point. Now 11 times 2, it was 22. 22 take away 8, it's going to give us 14. So that's how the x value comes about. Notice that the y value is not affected. Now for the point C, it should fall somewhere around here. So we're going to say the same thing. Point C will be given by the letter I is equals to the point C, but the point C is 4 here. So we're going to say 11 times 2, which will give us 22. Take away 4, which will give us 18. So our point should be 18 and 4. So that's 18 and 4. And we get that to be our image. That is how it has been reflected. So let me join the points now. I is equals line h comma g we have there, and then we have h equals line I comma g close there, and g is equals to the line h comma I close. So we have our image. So if you notice, this has been reflected in this way, this has been reflected in this way. So the idea of this type of reflection is that whenever you are reflecting, make sure that you multiply the line of reflection by 2 and subtract the position of that line of reflection. For example, if you're reflecting in the y-axis, you will multiply that line of reflection by 2 and then subtract the y value of each point that you are reflecting there. Now why is that? If you notice here, the object is equidistant to the image, and that's why you will multiply that by 2 and subtract the point that you have, because that's what you need to do. And likewise with the x equals that value. So let's see this in animation format. We would have drawn our line first of all, our line of reflection where we want. Then you plot the points that you have been given. All the points, in this case there were 3 points for the triangle. If there were 5 points, then you plot your 5 points. Once you have done that, join your points so that you get your object. Okay, now once that has been done, it is then the job for us to reflect the point, and so we reflect the point, and there is where we got the points being reflected. Notice points, you go point by point to reflect them. Okay, so that is how you go there, reflecting under the y equals 6. You multiply the y value by 2 and then subtract each y value of each point that you are reflecting so that you get your image. And then we went to the x equals a value, whether it's positive or negative. You will do the same thing, multiply by 2 and subtract the x value since it's being reflected in the x equals a value. Okay, and that's all that you need to be doing here. Keep in mind that in your case you would be using here a prime, c prime, b prime, but because we cannot write the prime here, we need to put it as just letters that follow. But the idea is cotton, so we can reflect it. And there we have our reflection. Nothing more than that is for our reflection.